Okay, now I wanted to just review XRP with you again so you are better prepared for your finals. So I'm using this resource docs.xshare.com. You can go there and read about these widgets that we just used and also learn about other ones that we did not. So these are the few things that we will cover. First of all, let's talk about page outline. And this is very simple idea, but what I really want you to be familiar with is when is this a good idea to use page outline. So basically, page outline is associated with every page. So I select a page here, and then I can get its outline, meaning I can get a map of all the widgets that are available or that have been used in this page, and I can change the order of the widgets by dragging and dropping them in different places. um, I can also select any widget that I'm interested in just by clicking on it. So the navigation button is here, location map is here, so now I've selected it, so it allows me to do more fine grain control. I might want to select any one of these widgets to maybe change its style or add more interactivity to it or just add some notes. And it's also a very good idea to control the masters or your even your dynamic panel from here, because both your master and dynamic panel, they're going to have extra widgets inside them. So in order to get to those widgets, you'll have to first select the main container, which is either the masters or the dynamic panel, and then you can get to its outline. So for example, if I click here, double click it, only then I can enter the outline, where I can go to different um, sections of this particular master and do selections and then control each widget individually. Okay, so that's in and yeah, so that's it for the outline, page outline. Next is library. So I'm sure you are all familiar with the idea of libraries now. So library is basically a collection of widgets. Um, and as you can see, that Azure comes with its own default library where some commonly used widgets are available. Some of these widgets are very simple to use, some are more complex, and some widgets are for specific instances. For example, all these widgets are related to web, web forms. And then you can create menus and tables and some markups as well. We also learned to add third-party library to Azure. So for example, we added Android Light library, and Android Light library came with a set of basic widgets, and it also has some advanced widgets. So advanced widgets are usually based on the basic widgets. So they use basic widgets as building blocks, and then they use these widgets in different configurations to create more complex looking widgets. You can also create your own widgets by going to the edit library page, and we did it in class as well. So if I ask you how can you add new widgets to an existing or a library, then you are going to go to the edit library page and do your modifications over there. Next is the style pane. So this is very simple. A style pane allows you to control the look of any selected widget. So for example, right now I have selected an image widget. It's called menu icon. I can go to the style tab and control its location and size, the location and size of this menu icon. I can control the opacity, the look of the text it holds, filling it with color if that's what I want, controlling the color of the border, adding shadow, controlling the corners, whether the corners are going to be rounded or sharp or pointed, and also add padding around a widget, making sure that no widget is getting too close to it. So style is associated with controlling the look of a widget. Then the second pane here or tab here is associated with adding interactivity to a widget, a selected widget. So you can use the commonly used interaction. They are typically listed here. So each widget has a different interaction. So you might have some interactions on one widget and they might not be available for other widgets. So you'll just have to, so you just have to keep that in mind. Or so, yeah, so coming back to the interactions, you can also create new interactions. So for example, you want this widget to do something when somebody moves it, or maybe when somebody clicks on it. Okay, so these interactions here are sectioned according to, so the first section is related to mouse. So based on what the user is doing with the mouse, you can decide to do something with the image widget. So for example, if the user is pressing the mouse button down, maybe you want the widget to look darker color, or maybe you want the widget to be moved, or so this is interactivity that you can decide to add to your widgets. And in this section here, you can they also allow you to add two different keyboard related interactions. So if you want this widget to do something when the user presses the key down, you select this interaction and up as well. And then if this section is associated with movement, if something happens to the state of the image. So for example, if the image got moved, or it was rotated, resized, or something else, selected, unselected, then maybe also you can add different kind of interactivity. And then the last one is style effects. This is related to, so the style applied while you might end up creating different styles, and then you want different styles to be applied to different widgets when somebody puts the mouse over the image, for example, or bring the mouse button down, or select the image, or things like that. So you can read actually these tips that come up to figure out what's going on. And the last is the notes tab, where you can write down the name of the widget and some note associated with it. Next is the dynamic panel. So a dynamic panel is a slightly different kind of widget. So all the widgets that we used so far, it was a single widget, right? A dynamic panel is actually a container that can hold more than one widget at one time. And another good thing about dynamic panel is that it comes with a switch, meaning that you can decide to show one collection of widget at one time and another collection of widget at a different time. Okay, and usually dynamic panels are said to be hidden, but you can always change the state of the panel by selecting the set panel action in the interactions pane. All right, the last widget that I want to talk about is the repeater. So this is a very advanced widget, and it's also a container widget, meaning that it can hold more than one kinds of widget inside it. And this widget is data driven, meaning that the content of the widgets that you placed in the container, they are going to come from a backend database or a backend table. The difference between a repeater and a dynamic panel is that in the dynamic panel, you can have different collections of images, different collections of widgets. So you can have collection state 1, which has a one collection of widgets, and then state 2, which is another collection of widgets. In repeater, you're going to have just one collection of widgets, and this collection, the same collection can get repeated over and over again. Okay, and this collection of widget can be updated through the information that's coming from a backend database. All right, finally, I want to talk about masters. So masters is, again, it's a container, it's a collection of widgets that you can maintain in a central location and reuse throughout the project. And any change that you're going to make to master, it's going to be pushed automatically to every individual instance of the master in the project. So typically, people like to create masters for their headers, their footers, their navigation bars, something that should be consistent from one page to the next. And I introduce you 3 different drop behaviors for master. So place anywhere means that the location of the master on the page can be decided by the user. So the user can decide to put the master anywhere they want. Lock to master's location means that the master will always snap to its original location when it is used on a page. And the break away means that when you choose this behavior, then it means that when you drop the master onto the page, then immediately all the widgets that were working together as a group, they break away from each other. They break out of that group and they start working individually. So they're just working like any other widget at that point. Okay. All right. So I already covered interactions, so I'm not gonna repeat it, but hopefully this gives you some idea on how to just review for the final.